Good morning, Corey. I greeted him with excitement every day. He always replied with the simple GM. I roll. Please get out of my face. Then he would give me a couple of ha-has and move right along. Every morning, every morning, that's how we greeted each other. I don't know how I felt for it every time, but I did. I was just so excited to see him, and he was always way too cool to show any excitement back. August 2015. I remember the first time I saw him in my classroom, I had to do a double take. Didn't I just have him in my second block? Nah, you probably have my brother. Well, do you know that y'all have the same face? He didn't entertain me, which is something I got used to. What a start to a beautiful student-teacher relationship. Nah, a nephew-auntie relationship. Corey was one of those students that you evaluate your teaching off of. You know how they tell you to reflect on your lessons? Well, Corey's reactions were a staple in my self-evaluations. If Corey wasn't here for it, I knew my lesson was some trash. But if Corey was engaged, the whole class knew to follow suit because he was a cool kid. And it wasn't even on purpose. Like, cool was just authentic to him. So if he was into the lesson, everyone was into the lesson. January 2016. One day during lunch, Corey stayed behind. Miss Lee, guess what? He showed me a text message on his phone. It said, I didn't get my period. Who is this and what you gonna do? I don't know. She ain't for sure yet though, so we might be good. A week or so later, I gave him the look, and he gave me a couple of thumbs up with a smile, so I knew, yeah, we were good. My infatuation with Corey and his brother was so real. I remember saying more than a few times, I can tell you got some awesome parents. Corey, looking confused, said, yeah, but how you know? I don't know, you can just tell when someone was raised right. May 2016. Corey came to my class any chance he got to sneak out of his other ones. One day, he came in after he had finished with one of his finals of another class. A girl was in there. She wasn't my student, so I didn't know much about her. He looked at me and said, Miss Lee. I said, you want me to put you on? He said, yeah, right, quit playing. So, of course, I started gassing him up to her. Told her all about how amazing of a person Corey is and how she'd be wise to get to know him a little bit. Needless to say, it worked. June 2016. I remember the moment he walked across the stage. The announcer said Corey Klein, and I went crazy. Because he did it, man. The joy that I felt, it was more than a teacher to her student. It was like an auntie to her nephew. I took a picture with him after graduation, my favorite picture to this day. But I also took pictures of some of my other students. And in one of those pictures, his little tink I mentioned earlier was walking in the background, so I had to do it. I zoomed into her on the picture and I screenshotted it and sent it to him. Miss Lee, you Aggie. That was his favorite thing to call me, and I loved it because I knew my role and I played it very well. I had no idea that would be the last time he'd say that to me. I had no idea that would be the last thing he'd say to me. I had no idea these memories would be the only ones we'd make. I thought, I'm his auntie, we have plenty more memories to make. Because he wasn't the student that you only reminisce on. He was a student that you keep in contact with years after they graduate, the student that you don't let go of because you don't have to, and because you don't want to. October 5th, 2016. I was so annoyed at the knock on my door. It was 4th block. I was ready to go home, and my students were working on the very last nerve that I had left. I opened the door and saw 3 of my former students. They always try to skip class to come see me, so annoyed, I said, what's up? Miss Lee, what do you need, baby? You're interrupting my class. You remember Corey? And he smirked. Of course I remember Corey. Why, what's up? Well, he got into a car accident. Is he okay? And he died. The student smirked again. Why would you play like that? I'm not playing, Miss Lee. Another smirk. I know now that he was just nervous. So I lost it. There was no more, don't let him see your sweat. There was no more, don't let him see your tears. There was no more, don't let him see your weakness. There was no more, don't let him see you break down. I lost it because it was Corey. And that just didn't make any sense. So I lost it. It's been 5 months now. Nobody ever expected there to be a life after Corey. But there is, and I want to talk about that life. After Corey, I have had to face the reality of life being short. After Corey, I have had to face the reality of life being short, especially for the ones you value the most. After Corey, I have had to spend days and nights grieving alone with no one to talk to because no one quite understood my relationship with him. After Corey, I have gotten the privilege of growing close to his family. After Corey, I have chosen to put my grief to the side in order to empathize with a mother who lost her son and her very best friend. To empathize with 2 brothers who lost their role model. To empathize with the father who lost his oldest son. To empathize with teenagers who lost their closest friend. To empathize with the young man whose careless mistake ended his friend's life. After Corey, my faith was challenged. But also after Corey, I have had the privilege of watching his mother find Christ again. One day she said to me, I think I need some spiritual guidance. Then later she said, I had to realize that God's not picking on me. Most recently she said, God's goodness is the only explanation I have for this calm to my soul. So because of Corey, I have gotten a beautiful and amazing extension to my family. Because of Corey, I hold on tight to his brothers and to his parents. Because of Corey, people have been united to each other forever. Corey is in heaven now. And maybe I'll tell you the story of how I know that to be true at next year's Story Slam.
We just want to take a brief moment to acknowledge the Fawn family who are in attendance tonight. Told y'all that was powerful. For those of you who have never taught or worked in a school, how many days are in a year? 365. The average teacher, do you know how many days they spend with your children? Because we're going to take ownership of these children. On average, minimum 185 days out of a 365-day year. The average teacher spends 9 to 12 hours with students a day. How many hours are in a day? 24. So the average teacher devotes at least a third of their day to our students. And so we talk often about the impact, especially in TFA, we talk about the impact that we have on the lives of the students we interact with. But I don't think enough is said about the impact that the students that we interact with have on our lives. And so I definitely want to thank you for sharing that. It's only one bathroom, it is gender neutral, but we didn't bring Kleenex, but there is some in the restroom. That was powerful. And Just give her one more round of applause.